doesn't the engine bay look so fantastic when you start to add a few bits? That's the manifold sorted.
Thanks for the description.
Oh, hang on, we're alive. Next job, start. Good, eh? Hello, my workshop chums. Welcome to An MG is Born, the very last programme in the series in which we will get to test drive my new baby for the very first time. Now, it's 3 days since we last saw you, and we've done quite a lot, but there's still loads more to do. You will see instantly we have the bonnet in place, and it looks gorgeous and it fits beautifully, but I'm not going to let you see the top surface of it until later in the programme, because it looks fantastic. We've also put in things like this new electric fan in here and its control system, absolutely brilliant. And obviously, you can see, we have got the front bumper on, which was a bit of a nightmare to fit, because the new bumpers you buy are all a bit twisted and not terribly good, to be honest, and so it ended up by fixing one end and then jacking the other end up to get it to fit and look absolutely perfect before tweaking all the nuts up. Now, that brings me on to a problem with restoring cars that we have faced time and time again, and this is probably the worst example of it. Nearly everything we bought to go on this car as a new item hasn't fitted, and we've had to make it fit. This is a good example, the headlight, OK? New item. This is a new item, the bit that goes round the headlight, OK? That is supposed to fit in there. There is absolutely no way that that will fit without modifying it, because the glass is clearly too big for the bowl at the back. Don't put up with it, is my argument. When I talk to all the suppliers, they all say, ooh, it's all a price point thing, it's a budget thing, people won't pay the money. Pay a bit more money, tell them you'll pay a bit more money, and you'll get better quality kit. All right, that's my rant, we've got to move on. Next job, little side strips down the side of the car. It's the job all MG restorers absolutely hate. The chrome strips fit along this swage line on the car here. It's like a bump, a ridge that goes all the way front to back on the car. And the chrome strips are these, which are in 3 parts. One for the front wing, there, one for the door, and one for the rear wing. Now, the good thing about these chrome strips are that if you get them right, you can artificially create a straight line down the car, even if actually on the panels they're not perfectly in line, which I have to say is almost an impossibility on an MG to get them in line. So these are actually very handy, but if you get it wrong, it looks absolutely pants. So the first thing you do is get hold of a load of this and put it on the body, because you're going to start drawing on it. Line that up. Next job is to get yourself a rule. Next, you need to mark off where the holes are going to be for the fixing. Job done. Right, we're going to leave that for now, and we're going to put on the front and the rear ones, because the holes are already pre-drilled for those, and then we're going to come back to this to check it afterwards. Always measure 400 times before you start drilling any holes. These little trim clips are like female press studs. The edge will then clip into the trim itself. By the way, that black stuff I'm putting on there is a wax oil. Yeah. So there's the rear one on as well. So now it's the tricky bit of getting the door sorted for drilling. This is the strip. What you need to make sure is that that end's got a little bit of a chamfer on it compared to that end. And the chamfered bit comes this end of the door, the leading edge of the door, because you can see it's on a slight angle there. Now, if you line up that trim with the one at the front and the one at the back, draw along the top and along the bottom of that, take it off and see whether your original line was in the right place. And as you'll see here, the centre is more like about there. So what we've done now is measure halfway between the top and bottom line, because it's much more important to get it visually right than anything else, and remarked where those holes are going to be. I've already drilled some of them. One more to do, which is the big hole in the centre, because in the door, the stud goes in the centre of the door, whereas obviously on the front wing it was at the front, rear wing it was at the rear. So a bit of drilling, and then we'll fix it on. OK, so that's in position. Right, onto the door trim now. This is the old door card from one side, pretty grotty as you can see, but expected after 30 odd years. And this is the door cap that goes onto the door. This is the inner rubbing strip for the window, and this is the first bit we've got to put onto the door before we can put the card in place. So what we've got laid out on the bench is all the door fittings for one door, and you can see new card looks absolutely glorious. That'll go on a bit later on, and this is the new door capping, brand new piece, reupholstered. Only problem is, yet again, it's not actually made to exactly the spec of the original. To start with, you can see a massive difference in profile of the two ends there. That in itself is not a major problem. What is a problem is the fact that this rebate here, where it's been routed out on the wooden former, is much deeper, about twice the depth of the one on the original. Now you think, oh, well, that's not a huge problem. It is a problem when you put on the mounting brackets, because if I put the new mounting bracket on the old one, you can see it fits nice and flush there. Put it on the new one, and you can see it's set back, which means you won't be able to mount it properly onto the door. So what you do, take off the old plate, carve it up with a grinder, and use it as a little spacer. That will sit on there like that, nicely flush with the top. OK, screw that in. And then you can see what's really nice about this using an original bracket as your spacer is you get a really nice finish. It's nice, that, isn't it? Like everybody like that? Enthusiasm's great, isn't it? Eh? I like it! So there we go. Not doing this up tightly at the moment. And then the new door card. So slotting it up in place. All these clips line up with the holes that you can see here. OK, that's the door handle on. A couple of bits of trim to go around the latch mechanism here. My lovely chrome window winder. There we go, very nice. One door done. I can't tell you how long I have been waiting for this moment to get rid of these horrible, scuzzy wheels that I borrowed off a mate of mine whilst I had my Rostyles blasted, and then we got them painted, and then I hand-painted all the black in, to end up with wheels that look like this, and they are absolutely glorious. I just pop one on just to get that look. They all look fantastic, but obviously the bit I haven't done is to put this bit, the rubber bit, on the steel bit. I haven't got the kit to do that here in the workshop, but I have got a mate called Chris just down the road in the village. He's a top bloke who always helps me out when I need tyres on and I need a bit of wheel balancing. And if you've ever wondered, when you take your car to have some new tyres put on, what they do when they balance the wheels, Chris is the man to tell you. And does that look good? Or what? Look at that.